The knot of destiny cannot be untied. Nothing in this world is the result of our own acts. Just imagine for a second being a wildly powerful ancient king. You've got the wealth, the armies, the total influence. And yet, you suddenly come to this deep, profound realization that human control, it's kind of just an illusion. Well, that's exactly where we're starting today. We're looking at the philosophical resignation of King Drupada, which perfectly sets the stage for our explainer on one of the most epic, highly unusual, and honestly hotly debated marriages in ancient literature.
Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're unpacking a truly fascinating narrative from the Mahabharata, specifically the Vaivahika Parva. We're going to see exactly how destiny and divine intervention were used to solve a massive social dilemma. I'm talking about the marriage of Princess Draupadi, sometimes referred to as Krishna in the text, to not one, but all 5 Pandava brothers. It's a text that is just packed with rich details, super strict ancient rituals, and some pretty striking mythological problem solving.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be covering the knot of destiny, a palace written in stars, the sacred fire ritual, a mythological miracle, and finally, the wealth of the lunar race.
Section 1. The Knot of Destiny. Human versus Divine Will.
So the text sets up this really stark contrast right out of the gate. On one hand, you have King Drupada. He had this very orthodox, earthly plan all figured out. Secure a single groom for his daughter. Simple, right? But as it turns out, divine will had totally different plans. The great Rishi Vyasa steps in and reveals this incredible cosmic secret. He explains that in a former life, the bride repeatedly begged the god Sankara for a husband. And because of that repetition, the divine decree was that she'd actually have 5 husbands in this life. Once Drupada realizes this is literally ordained by the gods, his whole worldview shifts. He declares that he absolutely cannot be indifferent to the gods. And crucially, because Sankara ordained it, the responsibility, and any potential sin, is lifted entirely off his mortal shoulders.
Section 2. A palace written in stars. Timing and opulence.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how deeply intertwined the heavens and the earth were in these ancient narratives. The sage Vyasa, he didn't just rush the wedding to get it over with. No, he selected the exact, divinely ordained moment. He waited until the moon entered the highly auspicious Pushya constellation. That was the absolute perfect time for Yudhishthira, the eldest of the brothers, to step forward as the first to take the bride's hand.
Once that cosmic timing was set, King Yajnasena, which, by the way, is just another name for Drupada, spared literally no expense. I mean, just picture this. You're walking into a courtyard where the ground itself is completely covered with scattered lotuses and lilies. Rows of troops line the entire perimeter, projecting this immense, undeniable royal power. You've got friends, relatives, state ministers, brahmanas, and regular citizens all taking their seats according to very strict rank. And the palace itself? It's festooned all around with diamonds and precious stones. It was so breathtakingly beautiful that the author actually notes it looked like a firmament studded with brilliant stars. Just an incredible visual.
So, into this breathtaking, sparkling setting, the youthful grooms finally arrive. After bathing and performing their usual religious rites, they make their grand entrance. They're decked out in earrings, wearing these incredibly costly robes, and they're intensely perfumed with sandal paste. That specific detail, the sandal paste, it really grounds the scene in reality, doesn't it? You can almost smell it. The epic actually compares their entrance to mighty bulls entering a cow pen. It's this very vivid, ancient way of emphasizing their sheer physical grandeur and totally dominant presence as they step into the hall.
Moving right along to Section 3, the sacred fire ritual, a Vedic ceremony.
Let's move to the actual Vedic wedding rituals and see how this builds. The ceremony is incredibly structured, and it's all guided by one central figure, the priest Dhaumya, who the text says possessed the splendor of fire. He knows the Vedas inside and out, and he takes total control of the ritual. First up, Dhaumya ignites the sacred fire, then he chants the necessary mantras while carefully pouring libations of clarified butter. Next, he officially unites Yudhishthira with Krishna. And finally, to completely seal the union, the bride and groom take each other's hands and walk around the sacred fire together.
Now hold on, because this is a crucial detail. This marriage to 5 brothers, it wasn't some big group event. It was a highly structured, sequential process. The text explicitly points out that day by day, in succession, the remaining mighty Kar warriors of the Kur line took her hand. So every single brother had his own distinct, individual ceremony on subsequent days. This wasn't just a deeply spiritual event. It was literally a 5-day logistical marathon.
Section 4. A mythological miracle. Preserving purity.
So, you're probably wondering, and it really begs the question, how in the world did this text preserve the ancient ideals of purity during such a highly unusual, polyandrous marriage? Think about it. If the bride is marrying a new brother day after day, how does the narrative actually rationalize that and maintain her status in a culture that was so deeply, deeply concerned with orthodox virtues?
Well, the text introduces a flat-out miraculous twist to solve this exact problem. A celestial rishi reveals what is described as a very wonderful and extraordinary thing. By divine intervention, the illustrious princess magically regained her virginity every single day after a previous marriage. It's the epic's supernatural mechanism for ensuring that each brother marries a bride who remains completely untouched and pure in the eyes of their traditional customs. Problem solved, mythologically speaking.
Which brings us to Section 5, Wealth of the Lunar Race, a staggering dowry.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the text quantifies Drupada's staggering wealth in these massive, almost unimaginable numbers. Making the sacred fire a witness to his gifts, the king hands over a truly breathtaking dowry. I mean, we're talking 100 chariots, all complete with golden standards, and each one drawn by 4 steeds with golden bridles. Then you've got 100 elephants bearing auspicious marks and described as looking literally like golden mountains. Add to that 100 female servants in the prime of youth, clad in costly robes and floral wreaths. To put that into perspective, the sheer scale and logistics of this kind of royal exchange are just absolutely incredible to picture. The narrative arc concludes with a completely triumphant resolution for the strong sons of Pandu. Having secured their bride and this immense mountain of wealth, they passed their days in deep joy and happiness. They lived in the Panchala capital not just as mortal men, but, as the text boasts, like so many Indras. They're literally elevating their new, blissful, wealthy state to the level of the king of the gods himself. Talk about a happy ending for the brothers. We started today with King Drupada throwing his hands up in the face of fate, accepting a situation he initially deemed totally impossible, simply because the knot of destiny cannot be untied. And it leaves us with this fascinating final thought. How does the ancient concept of destiny shape the way we accept the unexplainable in our own lives today? When we face events that are utterly, completely out of our control, do we fight the divine will? Or do we, like Drupada, find some peace in the idea that some paths are just written in the stars? Thank you so much for exploring this remarkable piece of source material with me.